get to go first. I've never spoken first before. It does, it makes me feel like I matter. Thanks, Rosh. That was a question for me for a long time. Do I matter? In fourth grade, had a English teacher who was teaching us biology at the same time. Don't ask. And she set us an assignment that we were going to learn how to grow a plant, but not like a regular way of growing a plant. We're going to learn how to grow a plant in a bag. Now, I don't know if you've ever done this, but it's a very exciting project, especially if you're 9 years old. And she split up the class into groups of 4, and she made me the leader of my group, which is the most fantastic feeling in the world, I can tell you right now. I don't know if any of you have ever been the leader of a fourth grade biology science project, but it's the best. I got to have 3 kids under me who had to listen to anything I had to say and do anything I told them to do. It was wonderful. And each group got a little plastic bag with a wet paper towel and a seed. And the question was, what else do you need to grow your plant? And as the group leader, I raise my hand and I say, what do you need? You need dirt, right? At the time, I was 9 years old. I'd never heard of hydroponics before, but I knew that you needed dirt to grow a seed. So we decided we're going to go outside. We have the perfect place to get dirt. Where do we go? Well, in our school, we didn't have a regular playground. The playground was basically an unused parking lot, just a long area of gravel, and around it there was a little hill, a dirt hill, that was held up by a little 3-foot wooden retaining wall. And, of course, again, 9 years old, what's the most fun thing to do during recess? Not football, not basketball, digging in dirt. And that's what we always used to do during recess. So it was already a familiar area to us. So we decided we're going to go over, we're going to grab some dirt, and we're going to make our seed grow. We're very proud of ourselves. We run outside, we climb up onto this wall, and we start collecting dirt. But then the question comes up, how much dirt do we need? Do we need a lot of dirt, a little dirt, medium amount of dirt? We were 9 years old. We didn't know how much dirt you need. So as the group leader again, I'm going to go and I'm going to ask the teacher, how much dirt do we need? So I start to head to the edge of the wall to climb down. And unfortunately, one of my very good friends, who I don't know who it was till this day, but I'm sure he was a good friend of mine, decided to dig a hole right next to the wall. And my foot gets stuck in the hole, and over I go over the wall. I throw my hands out. I land hands first, Baruch Hashem, on the ground, and I immediately feel a sharp pain in my left wrist. And I start screaming, and the kids in my group start screaming. They run, grab the teacher. Teacher starts screaming. She runs. She grabs the principal. The principal, he wasn't screaming, but he comes running. And this principal was the most wonderful man in the world. He's the principal that when you get sent to the principal's office, hands you a lollipop, don't do it again, sends you right back to class. Wonderful guy. He comes running over. He kneels down next to me, and he says, in I'm sure what was a really, really nice, caring way, 2 words. You're okay. And for some reason, to my 9-year-old mind, it didn't hit me right. That wasn't what I needed to hear in that moment. And I literally shouted to him, I'm not all right. I'm not okay. I'm lying here in pain on the ground, all scratched up, rolling out, just covered in dirt, covered in gravel. I'm not okay. And it made me feel like I didn't matter. And that hurt a lot. Just to clarify, my wrist wasn't broken, it was only sprained. But the wound that was inside didn't heal. And subconsciously, it was there for a very long time. And I took that with me through school and through my life. And I get to high school. And I had a Rebbe who's also a great guy. But his style of teaching wasn't very engaging. And the topic matter also wasn't something that really interested me, drew me in, made me feel like, this is something that I'm interested in. Let me, hear more about it. Let me do more. So, what does a 15-year-old teenager do when, he's in class and he's not interested? You space out. I had a notebook. I used to write doodles. I used to, whatever, do all the pictures and different stuff. I had a calculator. Let me tell you a secret about this calculator, all right? I don't know if you guys if anybody ever took high school math, you had a graphing calculator, a TI-83 graphing calculator. Raise your hand if you had a TI-83 graphing calculator. Yeah. TI-83 graphing calculator, I don't know if any of you ever discovered this about this calculator, but there's a function on it where you can type. You can actually write words. And it's a lot of fun. And if you're a person who has a very good, big interest in literature and in reading and in writing, like I was, it was a lot of fun. You could spend a lot of time on the calculator writing who knows what. I wrote a lot of stories on the calculator. It's a whole different thing. But that's what I spent my time doing. And at the beginning, it was just spacing out. And I figured, we'll get it to another Girsa, something which is more interesting to me, and then I'll get involved and I'll be more interested. But as time went on, I realized that the Rebbe never made an effort to reach out to me, never called on me. And it's not like I was sitting at the back of the class. Usually, if you're smart, if you're going to do things like typing on calculators and doodling, you're going to sit in the back of the class so the Rebbe doesn't see you, and that way you don't get into trouble. You don't get called on, you don't have any issues. But I, for whatever reason, decided I was going to sit right next to the Rebbe. So I had my desk right here, the Rebbe's right there, and he's teaching, and I'm clearly, not outside of his eyesight, but he never used to call on me. And if I did badly on a test, he wouldn't call me over. He wouldn't say, Mendy, what's going on? Maybe I can help you. Maybe if you need, something more interesting, maybe we can work something out. And he never engaged with me. And again, subconsciously, but to a degree, I thought about it a little bit. It felt like it didn't matter to him if I was paying attention. He had a job. He came in, he clocked into the time stamp, he would clock out, he did his bit of the teaching Gemara, maybe L'Chassidus, and that was his job. And if there was one guy who wasn't interested out of a class of 14, great, he got 13 out of 14. It's not a bad statistic. In baseball, if a guy hits, a third of the time, if he gets on base, that's pretty good. So 13 out of 14, not bad. And that really hurt to me. It continued to fester. And it was something that I struggled with for a while, for a long time. And it hurt my ego. It made me feel like, what do I matter? Fast forward a few years, a little bit more than a few years, and 7.5 weeks ago, my wife Sarah had her baby boy, Avi. Thank you very much. And he is the cutest baby in the world. I know, I'm a little biased, but I'm telling you, he really is. And I love him to pieces. He's the most amazing thing in the world. And one night, I'm sitting in our new rocking chair that we have to rock him to sleep. By the way, for all you single people out there, you get a rocking chair when you get a baby. And I'm looking down at him, I'm holding him, I'm rocking him, he's sleeping, making little faces, and he's got his little onesie, the little blue onesie that says Mr. Handsome on the front. You can't argue with that. And I'm looking at him, and I'm just basking in pride. But, as I'm sure all you parents know, doesn't last very long, and he starts to cry. And even after 7 weeks, this was a few weeks ago, but even after a few weeks, you learn your baby's little tics, and you learn his little things that he's got. And he was making his hungry face. Yes, you know the one, the face. And in that moment, it struck me something that blew my mind. Here's a human being who, out of the entire world, full of people, 7.5 billion people, there's only one person in that moment that mattered to him. Me. I mattered. And it got me thinking, 1 second. I started to feed him, but while I'm feeding him, I have a wonderful wife who loves me. To her, I matter. I have 2 wonderful parents who are here tonight. Thank you for coming. Who raised me, brought me up to be the person who I am today. And to them, I matter. I have 3 younger brothers who look up to me, try to emulate me. To them, I matter. And of course, I have all the guys at the surplus company, Sruli and Itchy, Fitz and Shmar, and all the guys over there. To them, I matter. So I just want to ask everyone here, please, when you go home tonight, go to somebody that you love. And if you're single, living in a singles apartment, you don't get away with this, you have a phone, call. And tell that person that they matter. Because it might seem like a small thing, but I can tell you from experience that the 2 words that mean the most to anybody in the world are I matter. Thank you.